from Danny Kaelin this past Saturday?
Yeah, I saw Danny, first probably obviously unexpected to go in the game. And then he settled in and did some good stuff for us, right? You look at it, the way the game was going and, last possession, we got down there, actually 2 possessions where we had a chance to go down there and get some points, and he was responsible for moving the offense.
When he seemed like he found a little more rhythm was with those shorter, quicker, intermediate throws. What'd you see there? Felt like with Trell and Sage, he found some.
Yeah, I mean it's a part of what we do normally, right? And just trying to manage and encourage him in the situation that he was thrusted into, and then as he got settled in and was able to hit a couple runs in there and then get the ball out quick in his hands because he's a pretty good decision maker, fairly accurate with the football. So you start to see that happening for him as the game went on.
Has Chandler practiced this week, or is there any?
No, we expect to have him out there doing some stuff today. So, yeah.
In the first half of the season, you're very efficient in the red zone.
Yeah.
Since the bye week, 5 touchdowns, I think 15 trips.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen from the team that's kind of changed? Has it been what other defenses kind of given you? Or
No, it hasn't. I think it's just been a matter of, as we talk about gaining the inches, right? And there was, in the early part of the season, there were some third downs that we converted into touchdowns, right? This back half, right, we haven't converted some of those third downs. So that's the biggest difference, right? It's just the third down conversions. And you see it, particularly Saturday night. And I can't remember the exact game. It was another game where we hadn't been as good on third downs as we had been previously. And a lot of those was in the red zone. Yeah.
Chandler brings those intangibles that you can't really put on the stat sheet.
Yeah.
Sage was saying he's usually the good cop to his bad cop on the sidelines when the offense needs a little bit of a push.
Yeah.
Did you see anyone kind of take that role a little bit, or have you seen someone step in?
It's just feedback from the sideline. Obviously, I'm in the press box. So I'm looking down at the guys' body languages and those type of thing. And not one time this year have I felt like, man, the guys are really kind of slumped down. The belief is that we was going to go win that game, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously we want to play better, throughout the first part of the game, so we're not in that situation. But you see there at the fourth quarter, unfortunately we had to fumble with Jamari, but that ball was moving down there to give us a chance to score, and then obviously that last possession. So even when we came here on Monday, like the guys, were we all kind of down in the sense that we gave one away? Absolutely. But just for us the belief of that we were going to go win that game, and this game Saturday, we're going to go win this game on Saturday. So,
Jamari's fumble kind of really uncharacteristic. Is that just late in the game?
Unfortunately, I think there was a few other things that were uncharacteristic of us in that game, and wasn't Danny's all on Danny, right? We had 3 turnovers. We hadn't had that all year, right? The sudden change opportunity on the 3rd and 1, where we had an unblocked guy down there that's opening the drive, right? We convert that 3rd and 1, and then we're moving and feel like you score a ball, right? So I think there was several uncharacteristic things in that game, but unfortunately those happened. We weren't able to overcome them to put us in a position to win the game.
The mindset obviously is to go 1-0 each week, but the goal is to make it to Charlotte. With the next 2 games being must-win games, is this being treated like some sort of play-in, playoff atmosphere?
I mean, every game we play has been a must-win game, right? So, and we put ourselves in a position to at least be in place to go compete to be in Charlotte, right? Yes, the one behind us, right, that hurt, right, took some of the control out of it, but we're still in control, right? And if, to your point, if you want to phrase it as, yes, this is a 1-week playoff, but every week's been a playoff week in our mind, right? Because we're always trying to go play our best football to go win. And we get the opportunity to go down to Duke, a team that's good. I mean, they're probably one of the best 5-4 teams in the country, right? They can score on offense. They're pretty aggressive on defense, right? So for us to go win the game offensively, we got to play our best, bottom line, right? If we don't play our best offensively, chances are we probably won't win the game.
Did you see anything in the UConn game that can help you guys?
Yeah. UConn has some similar things, right? They was able to run the football with some of the scheme things, and their quarterback made some plays off schedule, very similar to what Chandler can do for us. So, hopefully, some of those things happen for us on Saturday, but really for us, it's about, knowing we're going to get 0 blitz, right? They're going to heat us up situationally, red zone, right? We know we're going to get that. What's our plan to handle that, and then to go execute it, right? Because if we don't handle it well, we're going to continue to get it. Even if we handle it well, you're still going to get it, right? That's just Coach Diaz, and it shows up, Sometimes it might be 8 times in the game. Sometimes it might be 3 times in the game. But we know we get that. And that'd be a real key. How do we handle the zero blitz?
Their linebacker Freeman and then the corner Rivers.
Yeah.
Those two seem like the standouts for them.
Yeah. Yeah, because Freeman's played a lot of football. He's been there for a bit, and then I just think collectively they all play together, right, in unison at all 3 levels because, our D-line is pretty good too, right? Probably one of the top 3 D-lines, maybe top, that we've played against, right? They're active. They're fundamentally well on linebackers, the DBs, because they play a lot of man, right? If you don't trust your DBs, right, and feel like they're technically sound, then you don't play a lot of man. Right. And that's what you've seen from them. There's some other various in coverages, but for percentage-wise, it's probably more man than anything.
You mentioned obviously how the guys were a bit down after the loss on Saturday. Have you just seen them approach practice these last few days?
It's been really good because, again, we can't allow Wake Forest to beat us on Saturday, right? So the guys, we don't do anything with them on Sundays, right? They had 24 hours to flush it. When we came in here Monday for the team meeting, it was on to the next one, right? And what can we do, right, to improve, right, to go into this game to beat Duke, right? And to your point, right, it's playoff football, right? It's this game the only one that matters, and whatever it takes to go win the game, and that's what it takes. So
You mentioned when Danny went out on Saturday, it was a little bit unexpected. Going into this week, kind of preparing, knowing that there's a pretty decent shot he's going to be playing. Have you seen a change in his preparation at all?
No, not at all, because Danny's a very mature young man for a younger guy, right? So his prep throughout the whole course of it, because we rep him throughout the week anyway, right? Because obviously Chandler has had different instances where he may have come out of the game, right? And so he's been preparing in that regard, but it's different, right? When you're sitting there and, yes, you're preparing and you're hopeful of playing, but you don't want the other guy to get hurt, right? In your mind, you're thinking, man, I'm going to go play because we're winning so well. Chandler's out of the game, not in the fact that, that something happens to him. So that's why I say that was unexpected, right? His approach this week's no different, right? Now, what's different is on Tuesday, he took all the reps, because Chandler didn't practice. We expect Chandler to be out there today, so then we'd just kind of divvy that up, hop the best for both guys so that Chandler's getting the amount of work he needs, and then Danny can.
You have 2 separate game plans depending on who the quarterback is?
No, not really. We don't, just because, the way that our running backs have come along this year, there's not a big emphasis on quarterback runs, right? Those come off of extension of plays, maybe some situational stuff. So it's not like, we've been having all this quarterback run game for Chandler and we don't have it for Danny, right? As you saw on that 131, the safety crash and Danny went 50 whatever yards down the field. So we feel like there's enough athleticism in him to extend the plays in the same fashion that they're different, but still the ability to extend the plays if necessary.
Tony mentioned it, and some of your players have mentioned it too. That there's a lot of film out there.
Oh yeah.
People trying to take away your strengths.
Yeah.
What do you have to do as an OC? Do you go back into your think tank? Do you have to try to tweak some things, or you come up with something?
Yeah,
kind of new.
Absolutely, because you come off a game like that and you're looking at, okay, why wasn't we as effective offensively? Why didn't we score the points? Right? Is something schematically? Was it a play call? Was it execution? Or do we need to adjust something that we've been doing? Right? And you have a fundamental beliefs and a core of a lot of bank reps of things, right? But how can we present that differently to the defense is one thing, right? And then other than that, right, this time of the year, we just got to go execute better, string longer and harder, right? Put the guys in a better position in situational football, all right? Whether the angles are correct in the run game, we get the right numbers, get our hats right, and then it's about going to execute them.
So some of it's eye candy.
Yeah. Some of it's eye candy, but we can't fool ourselves either, so.
Right.
Absolutely.
The screen on the goal line with the offensive line spread out, was that something you guys had thought?
You know what? And I'll take total blame for that. But we practiced that for 5 weeks in a row, right? And just wait, the opportunity presents itself to call it. And the whole premise of that was when we spread out, right, it's disguising another formation. If they don't match the numbers, right, then the quarterback has autonomy to throw it out there, right? And in that situation, we had 3 O-linemen and Jamari. They only had 3 defenders. So, the math said that's in our favor. Unfortunately, it just wasn't executed, right, with the block, and the guy tackled us, right? So that happens, right? So if anybody want to get pissed off at me.
That's football.
You know, that's football. So
Do Chandler and Danny run the same way, or do they provide like different things as mobile quarterbacks?
I think the build is different, so then the running style will be a little bit different. As you saw, Danny's probably not as elusive. You know, Chandler can probably shake a little bit better, as some would say. But I think for us, the long, straight ahead stuff, they're probably pretty similar.
You mentioned those one-on-one matchups this week will be important. How much are you guys harping on that with the receivers?
Yeah, you know, because like Jamal, right? And that's been a thing with that, right? We don't talk about being, you know, one-on-one or 50-50. We're two-on-one, right? So it's the quarterback with the football and the receiver versus the DB, right? We missed the opportunity, you know, the second play of the game against Wade, right? So those type plays, right? You're playing man teams. Yes, we're going to do some things, try to create freeness. But when you isolate one-on-one, we got to win those, right? And it's not just about Jamal. It's just us as an offense, the mentality of this time of the year, right? You have to win one-on-ones. And that one-on-one can be an isolation block of my right guard on their 3 technique. I got to win that one-on-one, right? It could be the tight end on the defensive end. But everybody's going to have their one-on-ones. And if we collectively win those as a group, then chances are we'll be successful, you know? And that's where we got to continue to strain, right? And everybody's beat up. Everybody's banged up. You know, we try to take care of you through the week of practice, make sure we're fresh as possible. But, I mean, there's no reason not to be excited about this opportunity that we're presented in, because we all can look at it and say, oh, crap, what happened last? But you know what? We're still in control of our own destiny, right? The guys have put themselves in a position to be where they are, right, to go on a road, right, and have opportunity to maintain, keep yourself at the top of the league, to earn the right to go play another game, to try to get to Charlotte, right? And we can't ask for anything better than that.
Yeah, at this point in the season, I mean, there's so much, you know, I guess rat poison, as some coaches would say, in terms of college football playoff rankings, tiebreakers with the ACC. How much have you tried to make sure that you personally are avoiding it, and that your other coaches?
Well, first of all, I learned years ago, I don't get on social media. I don't do all that, because some days I'm really good, some days I'm really bad. So, right, and let everybody else handle that, right? I'm 47 years old, could care less, right? But at the same token, right, if you want to look at big picture, all right, but I think Arizona State last year started, they wasn't even in the rankings, right? It's all about November. Like, November is so critical, right? And right now we're sitting at 1-1 in November with 2 more opportunities. If we win the month of November, chances are we'll be where we hopefully would be. What we seeked out to be at the start of the season was the opportunity to compete for the ACC championship. And again, you know, so that's where it is. And our focus is really internal, right? Because the external stuff, right, it's ebbs and flows here and there. And then you can lose your focus and be distracted. What we don't need to be is distracted right now, right? We need to be, which we are, right? We're all dialed in on let's go to Durham and try to fight for 60 minutes. If it takes, you know, 65, which we've done that, right? Or if it takes 66, whatever long it takes, like, we just need to go make one more play than them to win the game, right? And it's not about sexy wins, because a win is a win. I never heard of an ugly win, right? Because wins are hard to come by, right? And yes, we need to play better offensively to impact our ability to go win on Saturday.